This is what happens when you don't follow your plan. Let's take a look at what I did. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the first trade I took. Here, I took 2 trades today, and we're just gonna see what happens. I'm not gonna spoil it yet. And then I'm going to show you what I was looking at and why I entered into these 2 trades. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna press play here. You'll start to see prices moving up. So the idea behind this first trade was a mean reversion, right? So today we were definitely thinking mean reversion, although I was thinking more sell than anything else, not just mean reversion, because there were several signs to me indicating that things were selling off. So as we go into this trade here, we start to see that I'm down 177, 195. It quickly starts going up, and this is when I start to realize that the trade is not going to work out. So it starts to go, and I start to see that it's not functioning here. There's one or two things. It can hold this little volume area there, or it could just wick me out. So it starts coming back again, back in my favor, risking 402 for 970, which is a great risk to reward. There's a lot of confluences here that are telling me that it's going to go up a little bit more. However, again, we're looking at the higher time frames, and they were indicating that we were going down. So this is why I was looking for sells and a retracement back to the mean from an upward move here. So as you can see, we're up $110 here. I went back to the VWAP. We entered a little too close to the VWAP in this case, so it was more of a late entry on my part. As you'll see shortly, when I go to the other charts, I don't know why I entered this trade. This trade was not, there was nothing indicating for me to enter this trade, and I just got excited and I sold, right? I saw the candle, the big candle, move down, go up, reject, start to move down again, and so I like, let's sell. I got trigger happy there, and I clicked the button, and this is what happens when you don't follow your plan. Now I have a $400 loss, $408 with 70 cents. This is what happens, right? So this trade was unnecessary. I didn't need to take this trade. Now I have a loss on there. So now the second trade that we have here, let's take a look. We're gonna go ahead and go speed it up just a bit and go to the trade, because it doesn't happen until a little bit later. We don't get in until about 6:50. Right now here in the trade, we're currently looking at 6:38. So let's go ahead and speed things up. As we go along, we'll start to see here shortly my second trade. So we're still looking for the trade here. Okay, so that's where we got in, right? So let's go back. Right there. So right there, I see a big seller step in, push the price down pretty extremely. I get in with 5 contracts. Again, my stop loss is going to be above the area where the cluster of sellers started to step in. Now, this could have been reduced my risk here a little bit, right? But I wanted to give the trade some breathing room. I didn't want to get it too close to where it does just wick me out. So we're waiting here for this trade to play out. It looks like it's going to sell off. It went up a little bit, took the sell. And so now we're in this trade. Now this one's a little different, because this one did indicate to me that there were either absorption or sellers present. In this case, there were sellers present at the highs there, selling off the rest of the inventory that they had from the previous day. So this was part of the plan. This was part of a trade that I would take and I should be taking consistently. Now, first one, definitely not part of the plan. Definitely should not have taken it. Again, it's just me against me. I just have to do better in the next trades. So as you can see, so far so good. We're 147, 195. Here we go. We're looking for momentum to pick up here so I can start trailing. I don't want to trail quite yet at this point just because if I look at this chart here, it's not really showing me high volume areas in this specific chart quite yet. So there's no really area other than the high volume selling area that there was. There was no other area to move it to. So that's why I haven't touched really my my stop loss and just keeping it there for the moment. Price goes against me here. Although I'm looking at price very carefully to make sure that it's not going to reject and go against me. And if it did, we'd go back to like we had the other day, a minus $900 day. So far so good. Price starts to aggressively push down to $200. So here we go. Continue. 280, 275, 237. I'm getting near the 300s. I'm starting to think, okay, do I cover here when it gets to $400? Let it go there, and if it goes against me, at least I recovered what I lost and back at zero. So that's exactly what I'm thinking right here. And I'm not sure whether to, now that it made a clear high volume node for me, which is, I'm not sure, right above the, or right below my entry point there, you'll see like this little V shape that goes up. That is a high volume node, and that I've seen multiple times, all the time, as it's trending in one direction. It failed. I have a couple of confluences in my favor. Now we're down, we're up $500 here in floating profits. We're just waiting to reach, again, the target below the limit 4 is because there was some liquidity down there, right? Where we were looking at some liquidity that was in that area. And so we're looking to capitalize on the fact that there's liquidity there. Price should go down there and take that out, right? It should go down there. There was no other liquidity at this point in time that was significant enough for price to get pulled in that direction. So this case, I was trying to take out 4 at that bottom area, a little bit above the liquidity, because the liquidity, I believe, was at 320. So it was at 320, going to 312. Sorry, not 320, 310. Going to 310, $2 above it. So when it comes down to it, it takes me out before it goes to that liquidity, because sometimes it stalls before. And so here you can see me moving my stop loss, trying to gauge whether this is a good spot to let it go and let the trade continue. Now it doesn't convince me enough to let it go. As you can see, it starts to chop there. It starts to consolidate, which is what makes these high volume nodes, the consolidations. So we're going to wait a little bit more to see if it retraces just enough and then comes right back down. So that's what I'm waiting for here, because it should retrace, trend continuation, right? So retracement, trend continuation. So here it goes again. Starting to push down. Now we're up $600. We're pretty good. Again, I want to try to hold this trade as long as possible without risking it going back to a negative there, because we're already pretty deep in there. There's times where it just goes right back up and you get stopped at break even, or you take the loss. Now that it's made a good high volume node, I'm just waiting for it to test this here, try to see if I can start moving my stop loss closer. Now, as you can notice from this one, compared to yesterday's or Friday's, I'm not taking one off at a time. I'm waiting for this to fully come to fruition with all the contracts as much as possible. So that's why I'm only taking off the 4 at the bottom of the lows there. Again, there is liquidity down there, so that's what I'm aiming for. Here we go. Starts to move down. I see that we're in 600. I am keeping an eye on that dollar figure. Even though I should focus on the process, right? I should be focusing on the process more than the dollar amount. But it's tempting, right? It's tempting to take it out right now, right here in this moment. So I'm starting to look at see where if we can break this low and it goes aggressively down, let it go there at 700, right? It's already enough to cover my previous loss and also enough to give me some good profits for the day and then call it a day, right? So that's what we're waiting for this break of the low, waiting for it to get rejected there. I have a couple of confluences, the VWAP, the EMAs, the 9 EMA, showing that it is continuing strong aggressively down. So I'm holding as it goes to $800 here. I'm moving up to 800 and I leave it at 800 and I take it off. Close all my other positions. We are in the money, twice our risk here, right? So now we're up 397 with 60 cents. And so that is what happens when you take a trade that is not in your plan and then you take one that is, right? So if I wouldn't have taken that first trade, I would have been up $800, right? And so that's something I need to work on better. Stick with your plan, stick with what you have, and then go for it, right? If it's part of the plan and you get taken out, it's a good trade still. If it's part of your plan, you take the trade and it works out, that's great, that's perfect. I could have avoided that loss. That was an avoidable loss, definitely. So as you can see, price came down here further and did take out that low, right? It went all the way down to where we were initially trying to take out the 4. And then after I would have taken that out, I would have just capitalized on trailing that one contract for the remainder of the time that it was going down. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the trades that I did take. And so this first one here, as you can see on the screen, is still part of the replay, right? This first one in this area here, we're gonna go ahead and pull the other screen because the replay won't allow me to put the mouse here. So here, this first one, this is the trade that I took. Now, as you can see, there is nothing there that is indicating to me to take this trade. Garbage trade. Stupid. Don't know why I took it. It was more of an impulse than me logically thinking of when to get in, right? So that did not work out. Shortly after, I started to see all these buyers coming in. Now, when I was looking at here, as these buyers were coming in, I was looking at the previous day, right? Previous day, we had this very, very long push to the top. There's no way it was going to reach there. If with that amount of aggression, it hadn't moved up further, faster, then it was no way it was going to reach that, right? So now I was thinking all this aggression going to the top, no reward, and it immediately comes right back down, right? At this point, I'm considering taking a sell. Now, I don't take it yet, and I wait for a big cluster to show up. I already failed the first one. I want to be patient. I want to wait for a true setup that I normally would take. Now, here it goes down, comes back up, fails this high, and now I'm risking it coming back all the way down to where I think it's going to come down, which is this low here, which it did. But I wait a little bit longer. Price moves up higher again. Another attempt by those buyers to push up. See 20, 34, 25. And then as I wait, again, today was one of those days that you have news at 6:45 and then you have news at 7 o'clock. So if you look at the time at the bottom of the screen, you see that it is 6:47, pushing after 6:45. But the more important news is at 7 o'clock. So we're looking as it's coming down here. I'm looking to see where I can capitalize. I start to see this big cluster of 169. This is where I take my sell initially. The moment I see this cluster, I take the sell, right? I take the sell, put my stop above the high. And originally, I had it way up here, right? Above this high, we're risking 212 originally for 367, right? $500 for the 367 that's down there ticks. As price came down, I started to reduce. and reduced it right above this little area, 154. So we have a risk to reward of 2.38. As price starts to come down, you start to see, let's get rid of this so you can see. You see another big trade here, but this time to the sell side. So I see more aggression to the sell side, more confirmation that below this VWAP, it's going to continue to push down. So that's what gave me confidence to hold this as it came down further. We came to here, came back up, rejected. You see another big seller here, and then it comes down, and immediately I get taken out way down here in this area. So I could have held, again, I could have held a little bit longer, but as you can see, as we progress throughout the rest of the day, if I would have held and if I would have just gone to break even, price would have ultimately over here taken me out at a break even trade. So this is why, again, this is why it's important to trail and know where to trail. As I trail, again, I trail on these high volume node areas. This and what you would consider an order block, this is where I would trail, right? Goes up, comes down, anywhere price has doubled up. And what I mean by doubled up is you'll see one candle and you'll see another candle in the same area. That creates high volume, right? It's that same specific area where there's volume accumulated. So that is where I would start to see these formations form. And then as soon as it breaks that low, that is continuation of this trend. If it just starts to chop and consolidate for the rest of that time, then it's not worth it, right? We want to see an expansion, an imbalance, right? And then a pull up for a retracement. But with that expansion, the previous, there should be a previously an accumulation, right? Some sort of consolidation where it accumulated all this volume for that push in that direction, right? And that's what happens when you don't follow your plan the first trade and when you do follow your plan on the second trade. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one.